I love you. Have a good day. It's easy to forget to appreciate the small things. I think I've done that too much. I should have looked at this view more. I'll do that from now on. The stairs are better for me. I should take more care of myself. There's a whole future ahead. I've got to think long term. We'll never make it otherwise. I'm going to take control. It feels like I drifted into these routines. Some routines have meaning and purpose. But, I don't know. We're getting lazy. I don't want that. It was easy to get lazy, to let things fall slowly into a dull routine. I've let myself lose track of what I want after everything we've been through. I don't want to lose him. I always smile when I see that place. Maybe we'll go there tonight. Maybe we'll go feed the ducks this weekend. I love the way they walk. I'm happy with him. I have to be sure he knows that. Patterns. Every day that alarm goes off. I should change the tone on it. Though, Harry always sleeps through it, so that's something. I think of these routines as optimized living, like they allow me time to focus on other things. But I've not been doing that. Harry likes me in this t-shirt. The same stories I've carried with me for years between houses. Why have I just passed by this for so long? It's beautiful. These daily things, they're good, but weigh us down too. I've got to a good place in life, but I feel like I'm not taking it further. Even here I get into patterns. Bathroom first, then kitchen for breakfast. Maybe I should change that. Meaningful change only today, not pointless ones as a distraction. No excuses. It's time to get with the program. I believe in this relationship. Time to show it. I love Harry. I should ask him to marry me. Wow. Yes, husband and husband for the rest of our lives. It seems so simple. I know this is the real thing. If I think about Sarah, I loved her. I still do. But it's not like how I feel about Harry.
I was so frightened on my first day at university. My parents drove me to the student village in the car stuffed with everything I owned in the world. I tried to look confident, It was faked. I'm not sure anyone noticed either way. Paul always liked Will. I doubt my biological dad would have. It seemed like I had an enormous amount of stuff. I went inside first. I had a room to myself in a shared house, and we already had the keys. I don't remember where we got them from. Mum or Paul must have picked them up from the admin person, I guess. I felt butterflies in my stomach when I walked into my dorm room for the first time. I was really nervous, and I didn't think about how Mum and Paul felt leaving me there. It was scary for me, but must have been... I don't know. I suppose I'll understand someday what it's like to say goodbye to your child. When they left that day, they would be going home to an empty house, you know? I was floating through unpacking, thinking about that space upstairs. My room had probably the cheapest carpet in the world. It was awful. They might as well have painted concrete, but it was my room and amazing. You remember how that felt? Having control for the first time. I felt terrified, but excited too, though mostly just lost. I didn't realise everyone felt the same. Having a room and being 18, yes, of course I was thinking about dating. I guess everyone was. I felt average, but I wasn't. None of us are, really. Wait, no, cute is the right word. I wasn't really thinking about sexy back then. I felt so adult, but I had so much growing up to do. It's funny to think back, like this, now. Will must have been in the lectures over the first few weeks, but I didn't notice him, if I'm honest. I was so busy with everything and just learning how to live, do laundry, cook every day, that kind of thing. I next remember seeing Will through the window of the Union Bar. I recognised him then from the first day, and I remembered liking how he'd look back at me then. The Union usually played the dancey stuff. Higher State of Consciousness was still on heavy rotation, but sometimes they played the better stuff. Blur, Pulp, a bit older stuff like In Spiral Carpets, but not often. Fridays at the Union were always the same. Crowds of people, the windows steaming up completely, and sticky floors. I kind of miss it. I guess I set my sights on him that night. I was determined to at least talk to him. It's not easy to find someone when you're not so tall and the lights are low. Spotting Will in the crowd was hard. It had only been a few weeks, but I felt like a new woman already. Or I was on my way, at least. Will always gave me a good vibe. I know that sounds weird, but there it is. He just felt like a good person. He was too. Considering it was the first thing I ever said to him, it's funny that I have no idea what the conversation was about that I butted into. I don't think there was any doubt about my intentions. It was hard to talk over the music. We had a couple of drinks, and then I remember pulling him outside. I could feel my heart racing, that excitement of anticipation. We went to sit just outside the bar. We could still hear the music, and the cold night air felt good. And that was when he first kissed me. Our first proper date was to the cinema. We sat in the middle, surrounded by people. I felt nervous to touch him with all the people nearby. We both fidgeted, trying to work out how to start. I kept on trying to look at him from the side to see if he was looking at me. I shifted to rest my leg against his. It was awkward and definitely not the natural and subtle thing I was going for. When I went to hold his hand, he moved his away. But I think that was by accident. We ignored the film, pretty much. It was that silly action one, with that guy who always acts crazy. Thingamy. It was like everything else faded out. I plucked up the courage and put my hand on his leg, and he gave me one of his lovely, shy smiles. His hand was warm and dry, and his skin soft. He gently held the side of my face, turning me towards him. He closed his eyes and kissed me, placing his lips softly onto mine. We sat with our fingers locked together for the rest of the film, and when it was over we walked out, still holding hands. As we were going though, I had this weird, prescient feeling. I could feel I was falling in love fast for the first time, but it was so strong, it would end. Will always gave the impression of confidence, like he always had a grand plan. I wish I knew if he saw that end coming too, like I felt it was. I don't know if that would have made how it went any easier. I spent the next day finally doing the unpacking that I'd been putting off. I'd done my clothes and the essentials, but there were other bits to be done. My mum gave me a tasseled cloth scarf to remind me of home. She's a right hippie. I'd packed loads of my old books. Nothing really related to uni, I just liked having them nearby. When I was born, someone from my mum's work gave me a toy bunny. I know it's silly, but it makes me happy. I've still got that bunny on a shelf in my room. It's like looking straight into the past and some good times. Even the smell makes me happy. Will was going to come over later that week, so I unpacked the candles my mum had given me. I wonder if she suspected I'd fall for someone. She's a bit canny like that. I was falling for him too. Is it weird to tell you this? I couldn't make up my mind where to put things. I wanted it to look nice in there. It was my space. It's weird how long you think about such small things. The little choices are important. I guess it didn't make any difference really, but I was happy when I was sure I'd got it right. I wanted to feel comfortable when Will came over. Will and I, it felt like a Romeo and Juliet kind of thing, and just as likely to burn us both as to make us happy. But what a lovely way to burn. That Christmas, I met Will's family. We'd been together for 4 months. Do you remember me there? I don't think I really said much that day. I was head over heels in love with him and very worried I'd say something wrong. I kept on wanting to touch him. There was this really good chemistry with him. But with family around, it didn't seem right. I remember he lightly touched the back of my neck as he poured me some wine, and it sent tingles into my stomach. The meal went well, I think. You only get to make one first impression, so I probably should have worn something else. I felt quite self-conscious. I loved him so much, but that feeling I had wouldn't go away, that it was all going to end. That Christmas Day, though, I felt like we had a chance. Things were going well, but over the months, I felt the relationship changing. We would listen to music as we fell asleep. Do you remember Enigma? Monks chanting and electronic stuff. We'd put that on a lot and just let ourselves drift off to the music. We listened to a lot of Portishead. Even now when I listen to them, I remember being back in that room, in his arms. We would watch videos in bed together, or whatever was on the TV. There was a transgender character on Coronation Street. We talked about that for a long time. I'm straight and hadn't really thought about my sexuality. It was just what I was. Will was just who he was too. It's funny to tell you this now, but I was never jealous of Harry. You'd think I would be, but I loved Will so much. I just wanted him to be happy. As the months went by, we went out less. We had a few friends that we'd go out for drinks with, and Harry, but Will and me spent most of our time together. Those memories will always be a warm place for me. I could feel the end of it all shaping up. But we had good times anyway. Though sometimes lonely, in a weird way. Feeling like the only people in the world. You cherish the other person, but you long for another life too. Maybe I didn't mind Will getting closer to Harry because it felt like our own love was too much for two people. Will and me were studying English. Harry was on the course too. There was a spark between Will and Harry, that much was obvious. I know some people would feel jealous, but I don't know. Being around Harry made Will happy. I'll never forget that time, seeing their friendship grow. It might seem odd to you, but it was my suggestion. I told Will to ask out Harry. I loved him. I knew it would make us all happy for Will to have Harry in his life. It was something he needed to do. I feel lucky. How many times in your life will you be sure you've helped a person find their true love? Though it was rough. For a long time, I wished that true love had been me. Let me paint a picture for you of the end. Will had been seeing both me and Harry at the same time for about 6 months. I can see you think that sounds weird, but it really wasn't. We were all open, safe, and honest about it. The picture. It was October, and we met in the basement of the Royal Oak. Smoking was still allowed in pubs, and the faint smell clung to everything. The seats were covered with tapestry fabric that was worn and faded. It was that old, heavy pub furniture. There was the muffled sound of the George Street traffic. I knew what I was going to say to Will. Before I went to university, a friend asked me what love is. I told her that love was being able to tell a person that you never wanted to see them again. Even though it broke your heart to do it, you would tell them to leave you because it was right. I was quite happy with that answer. Like love was something from a Shakespearean tragedy. I don't know why they asked me. I'd never been in love when I said that. I didn't think I'd have to do it myself one day. I didn't expect to be right. We need to talk.
Oh?
This isn't right.
You mean us?
I feel like I'm getting in your way.
You're not. This is good.
It is good, but it's not right. It's not forever.
Isn't this what you want?
I'm happy with you. I love you, but this isn't about me.
I love you too. I want to be with you.
I know. But that doesn't mean you should be.
Is this it? Can I do anything differently?
No. But thank you for wanting to.
I don't want this.
Me either. But it's right.
I love you.
I love you too. I was so in love. I can't tell you how much it hurt to let him go. I never forgot him. I never stopped loving him. Love doesn't just stop. It's not like a room you just walk out of. Our love, the warmth of it, became a memory I cherish. I've never loved anyone like that again. It took me 2 years to get over Will. I saw him falling deeper and deeper in love with Harry. Maybe we all could have kept on dating together the way we were. I didn't think of that as an option at the time. 2 years is a long time. I focused on my courses, got a first-class honours degree. That was a plus of feeling desperately alone.
Sarah and I still meet up. It took a few years before that was comfortable. I still love her. I'm not sure she realizes how much, but not the way I did back then. The breakup. I know she did it for me, but it hurt us both. She really questioned herself. Would it have been easier if I'd been with another woman? I don't ever want to do that to Harry. Put him through that kind of pain. We can't control how we feel. I'm sure I'll piss him off eventually, wanting too much or too little or something. I don't know. I don't know what I'd do if I hurt Harry like that. He deserves someone amazing, and I still look at other people. That's normal though, right? Why am I doing this to us? He'd be an idiot to marry me. T. My grandma said that T-cells, everything. Sarah's fine now, but we were young. She had time to move on. I might break Carrie's heart too. Perhaps I should just end it now. Man up. That's what my grandma would have said.
Of course, as Will's grandmother, I knew him since he was born. I visited him in hospital on that first day. I still remember the day that James, that's Will's father, handed my grandson to me. He was such a handsome boy from that first moment. Back in the 1980s, James was running 3 pubs in London. He was quite into that punk thing and looked a terrible state to me. I would babysit Will as often as I could to make sure he had someone normal in his life. Will had to play by himself a lot. Sharon had complications at the birth, so he was never going to have brothers or sisters. I always thought Will should play outside more. He preferred making up stories, even back then. Will's mother is an American, Sharon. They met through James's pubs. She took Will away to America for 3 years when she and James split up. They got back together again though. There was always music playing when I got to the house. Some awful racket. Not the sort of thing a child should be hearing. I always turned it off. Sharon was always reading. She taught art history. Never really made much money. James liked such strange books, full of horrible things. I remember him telling me about one with rats everywhere. I really don't see the appeal. I suppose I sound old-fashioned, but there are appropriate ways to raise a child. I only wanted Will to grow up happy and normal. I remember that evening. Will had been quieter than usual. He told me that he'd been in a fight. Another boy had been calling a girl names because she had dark skin. Will told the boy to stop, and he was punched in the stomach. I asked him if he had cried, and he said yes. I told him that big boys don't cry. I remember him asking me then, what do big boys do when they're sad? I suppose I didn't answer his question. I told him that he would be a good man when he was grown up and be able to stand up for himself. He had done the right thing, I told him, even though it hurt him that time. Looking back, I don't think he seemed very comforted. When he was going to bed, Will tripped on a toy. I remember carrying him. He was trying so hard not to cry. He was so small in my arms. I've never forgotten that feeling. It's most odd what sticks with you. A whole patchwork of memories making up our lives. I took him to bed to read him a story. He went through a phase of being scared of ghosts. Sharon would buy him ghost storybooks, and he had that pop-up haunted house book too. I always had to check the room for ghosts before he would settle down. I made sure he could see me looking carefully. I remember that night because I promised him then that I would always be there for him, to protect him regardless of anything. He probably thought I meant about ghosts, but I meant it for everything. It's not the kind of promise you forget. I wasn't reading a new ghost book. I was reading him Grimm's fairy tales. The old stories are much better than these new ones. That night was a strange story, called The Ungrateful Son. I'll tell it to you, it's only short. Once upon a time, a man and his wife were eating a roast chicken for dinner. When the man saw his father, who was very old, walking up the road towards them, the man didn't want to share his chicken, so he hid it out of sight. The man's father arrived, bid them good day, and continued on his way. The man was happy with himself, told his wife to get the chicken and put it on the table again. But the chicken had transformed into a giant toad, which leapt onto the face of the man. The toad would never leave, and when his wife wanted to help, she was so afraid of it that she dared not go near. The man had to feed the toad every day from then on, or it would bite his face, and he never rested for the remainder of his life. Like I say, it was a very strange story. Will was asleep before I finished it, which was probably a good thing. I felt strange after reading it. I wondered about whether I really could keep him safe. I didn't know where life was going to take him. I was his grandmother, and I hoped I would help him be a good man. I could still see him sleeping there now, like it was only yesterday. I never thought it would be easy. But I had raised James, so I thought I would be ready for anything from my grandson Will. The world changes so quickly. I remember the family visiting me when Will was a teenager. Did you ever hear the song Here in My Heart? That was playing when Robert first kissed me. Al Martino had a beautiful voice. They don't sing like that anymore. Such a shame. I started a small collection of glass animals many years ago. I would buy a new one whenever I went to Brighton. It's good to get out of the house, enjoy the fresh sea air. I went to visit family in New Zealand after James left home. It was a very long trip. I could only make it once. It's such a shame to be so distant from family. My husband Robert was a writer. Sadly, he died before Will really knew him. He could have gone far if he'd applied himself a bit more. Back then, Diana had just done that interview, and so we were all waiting for the divorce. There was no way we thought that they could stay together. Sometimes people treat us old people like we have nothing to say, so I started the conversation.
I think it's sad. She was bullied into all of this from the beginning.
The rest of the conversation didn't go well. Will frustrated me so much. Sharon didn't join in, but it wasn't hard to imagine what an American might think of it all. James took Will's side on it all. He always would be difficult in those kinds of things. I wish I hadn't even tried. They didn't want to hear my views. I said that I was going to make some tea. No one offered to help. I didn't really want tea. I don't think they wanted it either. But I needed to do something. I know it seems like a small thing, but maybe it was the first time that I felt apart from Will. James and Sharon both held their own views. I knew that. But Will... There wasn't any choice in my day. But it gave me a quiet life. That was good enough. It's easier to be different now, but all he could see was the need of one person, at the risk to everything else. It's not good to stick out like a sore thumb. You have to fit in. I was worried about him, getting all these views. It could get him into trouble. I was so scared that Will was going to go off half-cocked and make a mess of his life. I let the tea brew. And I cried for him. He was young, but he was old enough too. He was going to make mistakes, and I wouldn't be able to stop him. I knew something had been broken that day between Will and I. I took a deep breath and pulled myself together. It simply doesn't do to let others see you get upset. I live by myself. I always have done since Robert went. I had felt this was acceptable until then. Feeling distant from your family is the most awful thing. It's the strangest feeling of mourning. My generation has different values. Oh, goodness, I know that. But I very much believe that they are good. I wasn't prepared to accept that Will wasn't going to talk to me anymore. You can't accept it, really, when you see someone you love putting their future at risk. All these free ideas about people choosing their own way to live. He would understand later. But how much later? What damage might he do to his life before he saw that you need to fit in to get along? I didn't know what to expect that Christmas. I just wanted us to all be close again. But I was nervous. I was down in the dumps, to be honest. It was good to keep busy making the place look nice. It's important to keep in touch with your friends. We didn't have the internet back then. I wish people still wrote letters. I remember a Christmas after Will had gone to university, but we were all coming back together for the holiday. I wanted the house to look perfect. Will was going to bring a girlfriend, Sarah, and I wanted her to get the right impression. My family arrived just as the Christmas lunch was ready. It was perfect timing. Sarah seemed a little shy, but she was lovely. She told us about her university courses and was thoroughly charming. Will and I hadn't spoken for months. I didn't know if he understood that when we disagreed, it was only because I cared so much about him. James is most definitely Robert's son. Kind, but capable of so much more than he does. Did I tell you that Sharon and James split up for 3 years once? Will spent the time in America with her family. It was hard for me not seeing him. He was 10 and, like most boys, he wasn't interested in writing many letters. Will was a perfect gentleman. He doted on Sarah.
Oh, thanks.
felt so proud of Will. He was becoming the man I had hoped he would be. Sarah seemed like such a lovely match for him. He would have a happy, normal life. But that was the last time I saw her. The next summer, I went to visit Will at university. Arriving on time is a common courtesy, so often overlooked, I feel. So I set off in plenty of time to drive down to see him. I arrived early and decided to have a look at the campus. It was my first time there, and the buildings looked lovely. So many excited young people about the place, and such beautiful girls, all full of pep. I was also hoping I might see Sarah again. I never went to university. It wasn't like it is now, where it seems normal to go. It was nice to see so many people improving their lives. I saw Will before he saw me. He was a short distance away, and I couldn't make out what he was doing. Then I saw that he was holding hands with a man. And then they kissed right there, out in the open. After everything I had tried to teach him, he went and did that. I couldn't believe it. I knew those views of his would get him in trouble. I left right away. I didn't know what to say to him. I just couldn't think of anything. Will hadn't seen me. I simply had no idea how I could be expected to act like everything would be okay for him. He was so young. He didn't see the trouble he could get into if he kept doing that sort of thing. Suddenly, the university seemed ugly, obscene. All that sense of entitlement, but no appreciation. All those petty children doing whatever they wanted, ignoring the responsibility of the freedoms my generation got for them. I wanted to be civil, but I was so angry with him, with them all. He was putting himself in danger. That sort of thing. It all just feels wrong to me. Sorry, but that's just the way I feel about this. I barely saw Will for the next few years. I couldn't bring myself to talk to him. It was silly of me, I suppose. After university, he went travelling, seeing the world. I stayed at my house. It's hard not to live in the past sometimes, when you have so much time to yourself. I wish my husband Robert had had more of a chance to know Will. probably never really understood how much I loved him when he was growing up. I remember so clearly before he changed, when he was just a happy little boy. I had such hopes for Will and all the things that he would be when he was a man. But life goes on. I was in the garden. Things do have a habit of getting overgrown if you leave them too long. Will had been travelling the world. I would very occasionally get a postcard from somewhere foreign. This was before he went into the travel journalism. I worried about him so much. How could he be happy when he wouldn't settle down? All he wanted was constant change. Everything needed to be new all the time for him. I was going to answer it, but snagged my foot in the grass and twisted my ankle. It hurt like blazes, and I lay there feeling like a complete fool. There was no way I was going to be able to stand. But the doorbell had gone again. I called out for help. I heard someone coming around the side of the house. Will had come to visit after coming back from travelling. After all I had done, after all I hadn't done, he was the one reaching out to me. He was the one who made the effort.
It's okay.
He looked after me anyway. I saw the kind boy that I knew inside the man he had become. I don't claim that I'll ever fully be able to approve of some things.
Let's get you inside.
I didn't teach him to forgive, but thank goodness he learnt that by himself. I'd been so distracted by just one part of him. I didn't see that he was the best sort of man possible. Kind, strong, and loving. He was even kind to a fool like me. I'll never forget that.
It took a long time, but Grandma sees I'm still me, and that I really am in love. I don't know if she'll ever be fully comfortable with Harry and I, but she's growing too. Maybe for the first time in a very long time. I'm a person massively in love. Feeling so much is scary, but I know it's right. I needed to grow too, so I could accept just how much Harry means to me. I love Harry. Now and forever, I think. I will commit to him. It would be crazy not to ask him to marry me. We could start a family. Actually, that's not a bad idea. One thing at a time, though, hey? He's never said he wants this, as such. Starting a family together. Actually, that feels right to me. The most important day of my life ahead. Keys? I don't know what lies ahead, but it'll be amazing.